Yes.
Did you send it to him?
I sent it to him yesterday, and yeah.
Because I have to send out an email to everybody.
Yeah, so, okay, ladies, Tuesday. Give me a heads up. Because I'm gonna teach like maybe 2 or 3 songs on Tuesday.
Social media, Marie with World.
I've been teaching only one song.
World.
I'm not really teaching if they're following me.
She said about
Hello.
6 were coming from her team.
Do I want to name that? Oh, I know. Will I taste the banana? Because you guys have to give me a little piece. Well, this is.
Miss Glenda, sweet little cat.
Which I usually don't have time to.
Oh, Mr.
Anyway, I know, I'm so sorry.
I know that business has slowed down a tad bit, but not that bad.
I am loving that yellow, and I'm loving that. Yeah, you're looking hot in it too.
Thank you, Miss Wanda.
You are working that. And I'm so mad.
Russell, you're awfully quiet.
He's
I'm
working.
trying to get this
He's working. You know he's
stupid
working.
Google Hangout together.
Well, the condo that we were having an issue with, we might have a contract on it. But the training is never late for another one, right?
Yeah.
Good, I need to know, because all this condo I have, I do not have any problems.
Why don't you guys jump up here before you start eating?
You want
So
us
I can grab a picture.
You want us just to sit there?
No.
Oh, damn, come on.
Yeah. But thank you. I appreciate you.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dan.
Lionel Jackson.
Oh, there you go. We're just talking about world.
Yeah, we got one. We got one. That's okay. That's all we need. That's right.
Oh, wait, we can hug. I've been wanting to touch all over you anyway.
Okay, here we go. This is going on YouTube now.
I've been wanting to touch on your body.
There you go.
Thanks, Ray. All right, smile, everybody. Perfect. Let me take a couple.
Sure.
Let me do one this way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You know, I wanted to do, look, I wanted to do something like this, because this is what we do when I'm working. We do that in our workout class.
Let me harass Miss Maria at World.
Can I see your
World
picture?
Class
Miss
or World Realty?
World
World
You want to see how good you look,
Louie, can I
Marcella?
see your picture?
I will share it with you in 1 minute. Let me see where Maria.
Marcella wants to see how good she's looking.
No. I have gotten so fat. That's what I want to say, how fat I am.
Not that. Mm-mm. And guess what? You come to a couple of them classes.
I'm coming.
you'll be gone.
I'm coming.
No joke.
Where are you trying to get Marcella to go?
To my workout thing that I teach a couple songs in. Just right down the street, Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah, he's somewhere around there.
Fine, how are you?
I love it though.
Bread.
I love it too. Good. Way of stress relief. We get to make all kinds of noises and stuff like that.
Oh, my
I know,
Lord.
we're not gonna bite you. You can come closer.
I might. So.
Oh, you might not.
Not like that. Be careful.
I'm sorry. I didn't
Look, no, well, look, but I had my shot, so you should be good. I'm being bad, I'm sorry.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, he's some work.
You're being so bad. Tammy, I want you to really have a little video.
Don't give her none, Tammy.
Oh, just want a little bit.
Russell made that.
I know you did, I just.
I want coffee so bad.
Why don't you get any?
Because
Oh, yeah.
coffee's cheap. It has no Splenda. He's cut back. Remember the days we'd walk in here and he'd have cases and cases of
That's good.
Red Bull.
Red Bull all over the. Were you here then?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God, I remember just every corner you looked at, he was keeping these guys.
That's really good. Russell, that's lit.
Well,
Yeah.
he does, but at the other office. They're at the big.
No, they took the Red Bull out.
Oh, yeah?
I don't taste the banana at all.
No? I think
Now
it's
the price of coffee's going up too.
Just everything. was crazy.
And good?
Yes.
It came out a little bit dry.
She took a couple.
Oh, that's because we weren't standing up.
Well, I don't think
This is a good camera.
It's probably that new self tanner I've been using.
Gotta be. Hey, see, Marcella, look at
Well,
that.
with me, you gotta get up close because I don't know, something's like the timing. My head is always
Marcella and Wanda, I gave your cards to two people that walked in yesterday looking for rentals in the Virginia Beach,
I should have had my coat.
in the Virginia Beach area, but you never know, you might be able to switch it up.
Right.
Did you get anything off of Boomtown yesterday? How many?
2.
Good.
Yep.
Forgot to suck in. Retake.
All right, I guess we can start this thing since
the flash go off. This is it?
It didn't.
this
Yeah,
is all of
the
us.
flash didn't, but it's okay.
This is all we got.
Retake.
Let me see what Marie said if anybody else is on there. It was fine.
Well, good morning to all of you, and thank you for coming.
Good morning, Jan.
I'm Jan Boyd, and I'm with Movement Mortgage, and this is Sam, our condo manager. And he's the one that works with us to get condos that are not approved accepted through Movement Mortgage only. We're working on one in Norfolk right now that's not on our approved in-house list. And all that Sam's asking for is the questionnaire, the budget, and the insurance. And it's at a 60% investor right now. And of course, if this person's buying it as owner-occupied, it's going to change the ratios. And Sam has given it not his approval, because we don't have all the stuff in yet, but he thinks that we might be able to do that one in-house. So we have a lot of exciting things happening in our condo department that other mortgage companies may not be able to do or willing to do. I know a lot of the property associations certainly are not doing what they need to be doing in keeping these approvals for FHA and VA current. So that's kind of where we step in and pick the ball up and keep it flowing. So I'm going to turn it over to Sam and let him tell you all the great stuff.
My name is Sam Chazanow, and I oversee the condo department over at Movement. Give you a little background. Started in the business back in 1988. I've been in all aspects of production, sales management, operations. Graduated on Mortgage Banker School of Mortgage Banking. Have my certified mortgage banker designation. And I actually train condo financing for several states. I do realtor continuing ed. Not only do I teach the course, but I actually wrote the course. We're approved in Delaware and Maryland. We're working on Virginia right now. And it's available for 3-hour available CD. Some background. I've worked with Toby Harris, our one of the owners of the company, since early 2000s. Ran a joint venture for him up in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. But most of my time up north. A couple of years ago, he had asked me to come and join his new company. And one of the things I liked about Toby was his philosophy, his process. He understands on the production side how important it is to underwrite up front. And he came up with the 7-day C2C formula, which is really the foundation of what we do here. We don't close all loans in 7 days, but we get them underwritten, we have them reviewed, and if there's any critical areas, any issues, you're going to know about it right up front. And that's what we're all about. If there's a problem, we want to know about it the first couple of days so we can let everybody know. Don't want those 11th hour issues. So 2 years ago, he said, the one product that we have that we're not really good at, condos. Why? Because back then we were correspondents. And we can do our 7-day C2C process, get that borrower, but we had to send the condo to the investors to get approved. And then who knows what the investor would say. They may have a question on the questionnaire, they may not like the budget, they may have saturation in that. So we can get all the way to the 11th hour and run into all kinds of problems. And that would hurt us. That hurt our reputation. So basically pulled condos and said, Sam, figure out how we can do condos as a company that will work with our 7-day C2C process. About the same time, we had received our seller servicer list mentioned by Fannie Mae. Huge change. We still operate as correspondents, but as seller servicers, we have access to Fannie Mae's Condo Project Manager System, CPM as it's called. And with that, we're able to approve condo projects for Fannie Mae ourselves. Okay. So anybody can go onto the Fannie Mae list on the Fannie Mae website and see if the condo project's approved. And you're only going to see a handful in each state. What most lenders are now doing are running the CPM. And with CPM, we can approve almost any project ourselves at no cost that Fannie Mae charges for to get approved. You want to send a project to Fannie Mae for approval. It'll be a global approval. It will be approved for all lenders. It's going to cost you $2,500 out the gate, $30 per unit. If there's a commercial component, additional $5,000, then additional fees and phases. It's going to cost thousands of dollars. It takes several weeks, even months. We can approve every project in-house that Fannie Mae can do, with the exception of 2 projects. One, a new project with units less than 400 square feet, and we really don't have any of those here. The other project that we can't do is a conversion. That's a non-gut. We can do a full gut conversion. Okay? And we're actually starting to see more conversions taking place in DC, in California, in Florida, where apartment complexes are now being converted over to condos because the market's coming back into play. As long as it's a full gut conversion, bringing it down to the drywall, replacing the electrical components in HVAC, we can approve those right in-house. And here's the best part. Approval usually takes 2 to 3 days. Yeah.
That would have been good for Denver.
Think about that. With CPM, we can approve any project in 2 to 3 days. And all we need, basically, comes the questionnaire, the budget, and the master insurance. 3 key components. Projects are broken down into 2 types. New projects and established projects. The established projects are the easiest. The definition of an established project is completed, there's no new phasing. The association has been turned over to the unit owners, and at least 90% of the units have been sold. Those projects we approve usually in 24 to 48 hours. We get the condo questionnaire, we get the budget, we get the master insurance. Once we approve that condo project, it's approved for 12 months. Okay? What does that mean to you guys? It's approved for 12 months. We do a loan in it. You don't have to go through a condo project approval again for another 12 months. We can actually get those condo projects approved even before you get a buyer. So if you get a listing, say you want to take a listing on a condo project, it's not on Fannie Mae's list. Get us that questionnaire, get us that budget, get us the insurance. You're going to need it anyways. Okay? We'll run it through our system, and that way, all you need to do is worry about the borrower. You take the whole condo risk out of the equation. It's a whole different way of looking at it. Now, why is that important? It's important because you want to know if there's any issues with that condo. Okay, right up front, when you take that listing, you want to make sure you're going to spend time and energy marketing it, and you get a buyer for it, that they're going to be able to get financing. Who wants to wait to the 11th hour to see if that condo is going to be doable? One of the biggest concerns that I hear from realtors is, hate condos, and I want to deal with condos, they're too complicated. Can we get that condo project approved? Can we get that listing in? What's your risk? And not only that, once you get that condo project approved, and you know it's approved, and you have 200 or 300 units in that project, you can go solicit the rest of the potential owners of that. If they want to sell their condos, if they want to whatever, you know that that project is now approved, Fannie Mae financing. Real simple process. How? We go by pure agency guidelines. Let's say that. We go by pure agency guidelines. One thing that we see all the time are loans coming in from realtors stating that this loan was denied by mortgage company XYZ because the project is non-warrantable. Okay. Ooh, non-warrantable. Scary. The question is, why is it non-warrantable? Is it non-warrantable to that investor because of their overlays? Or is it non-warrantable to Fannie Mae? Okay, that's the question. Because they're telling the buyer they can't buy that condo because it's not warrantable. The seller now thinks that they're in a project that's non-warrantable. What are they going to do? It's going to create panic and stress. What we find out in most of those cases, it's warrantable to Fannie Mae guidelines, but it's not warrantable because of investor overlays. One of the biggest issues is investor concentration. If you get a condo loan, and there's 70, 80, 90% investors in that, there are a lot of lenders that won't even touch that. You know what Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac says about that? They said, as long as it's established, and it's either owner-occupied or vacation, we will do that. Investor concentration is not an issue. As a matter of fact, it's our duty as Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac to make the project more stable. And how are we going to do that if we leave the investor concentration side? By allowing us to do financing for owner-occupied and vacation homes, we're diluting the investor concentration, making it a higher percentage of owner-occupied vacation homes. They'll do those every day of the week. And I got to tell you, we've turned so many loans around all over the country simply because certain lenders won't touch high investor concentration.
What's the highest one you've done, Sam?
90.
90?
Yeah. Yeah. On the shore in North Carolina, 90% on investor concentration. Yeah. Owner occupied, no problem.
Awesome.
There is one little glitch. If you're dealing with projects that are 2 to 4 unit condo projects, then they only allow one investor. But if it's 5 or more, investor concentration is only an issue if you're doing an investor loan. Fannie Mae won't want to do any more investment loans then until the concentration comes down. But they will allow us to dive into concentration. Now, with that, you guys are so lucky because you're in the state of Virginia. Okay? You have a program in Virginia called the VHDA 97 Plus program. No MI. Y'all familiar with that program? Okay. Do you know we do a ton of condos with that program? One of the requirements with that is that the condo project has to be Fannie Mae approved. And they accept our CPM. So we're doing 97% financing, no MI, condos. We're getting those condos and projects approved within 2 to 3 days. And we're really starting to make ripples in the market with that product in Virginia. Great, great program. You guys aren't aware of it? Talk to Jan. She'll get you education. She'll get you up to speed. Any condo that you have listed that's not on Fannie Mae's or our current list, talk to Jan about it. We'll get those projects approved for you. So when you have buyers that come in, we can make sure that that project's going to be financeable up front. Like that? Now, let's continue on that non-warrantable track. Let's say you got a condo project, meets all the Fannie Mae guidelines, okay? But you have a one-off. Okay? One-off being commercial space. You have a lot of high-rises, and sometimes those high-rises have over 20% commercial space. Okay? You read Fannie Mae guidelines, that's ineligible. Okay? But Fannie Mae has a special desk called the Credit Variance Desk, and they issue project eligibility waivers. So if you have a project that's one-off, maybe because of commercial space, we can request a waiver on it. Okay? And as long as we can show that there's other high-rises in the area with a similar amount of commercial space, they'll approve it. We've gotten numerous ones approved, up to 40% commercial space. Yeah. Now, they won't do a blanket approval on the project, but they will do a one-off and a waiver. There's a fee for that, $200 waiver fee. And again, we've got so many of those approved throughout the country. Another key issue that's one-off is single entity ownership. Fannie Mae basically states, we don't want one person owning more than 10% of the total project. If you've got 100 units and you have one owner that owns 15 units, that poses a significant risk. Okay? A lot of lenders will just flatly deny that. Okay? It's more apparent on smaller projects. Let's say you have a 30-unit project and you have somebody who owns 4 units. That's over 10%. They'll flat out deny it. But again, we can go into Fannie Mae. We can get documentation from the HOA stating that these units owned by the single entity are all being paid timely and there's no delinquencies. And they will consider those. And we've approved many of those that were denied by other lenders.
How quickly does Fannie Mae get back to you on that, Sam?
Fannie Mae is amazing. I usually set the expectation 48 hours. In most cases, if I put in a request in before noontime, I'll have the answer same day, sometimes next day. But our proper expectation is 48 hours for a definitive answer. So it's quick. And once we became CPM eligible on Condo Project Manager, we have direct phone access to key people throughout the country depending upon where the projects are located. And we have direct contact. So we're doing a lot of neat things with condos. Dues delinquencies. That's also a hindrance to a lot. What happens if you have a condo project with 20% dues delinquencies? Okay. Typically, Fannie Mae says if you have over 15% that are 30-day delinquencies, it's not eligible. Okay. Dues delinquency has been an issue coming out of this tough market. 2 years ago, FHA just basically changed the rules altogether. FHA is not even looking at 30-day delinquencies. They're only looking at 60-day delinquencies. 30-day delinquencies are unlimited at FHA. So Fannie Mae basically said, you know, that's working out pretty good for FHA. So maybe we ought to take a look at that as well. They haven't changed their guidelines. But if we get a condo questionnaire that comes in and says you've got 20% dues delinquency, and we can break it down and show how many are 30, 60, or 90 or more. And if we back out those that are 30, and we bring it under 15%, fine. Fannie Mae will approve it for us. So we have the CPM where we get approved, then we have the one-offs. Okay. Good stuff. Now, we also have something called limited review. Okay. Have any of you heard of that term, limited review? It's for established projects only, and it's for owner-occupied vacation. Let's say we have that project that comes in, and you have reserves that are less than 10%, or you have delinquencies that are over 15%. But you got a good solid buyer in an established project that's been around, they're putting at least 10% down, and Freddie Mac approves the loan, we can do that condo project, just the questionnaire and the insurance, without the budget. So when we don't use the budget, we don't have to be concerned with delinquencies or reserves. Okay? It's called limited review, and that is a hot product. 2 years ago, Fannie Mae dropped the requirement down to 80%. They wanted 20% down. And a lot of lenders are Fannie Mae lenders. But Freddie Mac is still at 10%. So we can do limited review with 10% down. Just got a project approved this morning out on the West Coast. 85% LTV. Reserves were 7%. Fannie Mae wants 10. They will go in for a waiver if we can provide the fee for the PBW, which is $200, and we can get the reserve study. It'll still take a couple of days. But we were able to approve that one this morning, simply because it was eligible for limited review. And they're going to close it tomorrow. Okay?
So
we
you're
have-
saying, I have a question.
Yeah.
Because I have a condo down on that's never been approved. When you're saying 10% reserves, are you talking about the sales price of that particular unit, or because I thought it was of the deductibles for the insurance policies?
No. Okay, and I'm glad you brought that question up. That's a good question. I mentioned we need 3 items: condo questionnaire, the budget, and the master insurance. Condo questionnaire is just core information about the project to see if the project meets the AMA guidelines. Pretty straightforward. When we get a new loan in, our underwriters will order that condo questionnaire, if it's not already on our list or on Fannie Mae's list, same day. Okay, so within 24 to 48 hours, we should get that questionnaire in, and we'll review that for any red flags. Also, at the same time, they're going to request a copy of the budget, which usually comes as well. The annual budget is where the reserves come in. And what Fannie Mae is looking for, very simply, that you have a balanced budget, that you have enough income coming in to cover the expenses. It's really not rocket science. The assessments are $100,000. The expenses are $90,000. $10,000 left over. That goes for future capital improvements and deferred maintenance. Simple. Okay. Now, if that's less than 10%, then we need to know why. We need to ask for a copy of the reserve study that justifies low reserves. Okay. And then we have to send it into Fannie Mae for weighting. In most cases, there's a good reason why we do it. But like in this particular case, they just felt that that was adequate. They didn't want to go through the additional amounts. You can still qualify the loan for limited review if you have a strong borrower and the borrower is eligible. So we have ways of doing that without creating delays in time. Our system is all about time. And we want to know if there's any issues in the first couple of days. So, summarize, on warnable sides, you have those that are eligible for condo project manager for review, which is high LTV, 95% financing. We can do the 97 VHDA program with that. We can do USDA. Okay.
Not as much.
Okay, certain markets are huge with the USDA. Could you imagine that, USDA condos?
No.
You ever hear of a place called Open Beach, Delaware?
Yeah.
Bethany Beach, Delaware?
Yeah.
Benwick Island, Delaware? All 100% financed, all USDA.
What?
Wow.
When I think of USDA, I think about food and daycare.
No. Yeah.
So they show up on the geo eligibility?
The whole county of Rehoboth Beach, Bethany Beach, Benwick Island, Ocean Pines, you're talking phenomenal USDA market up there. All eligible for 100% financing, and they all take our CPM. Okay. Now, that's just an example. People have a hard time believing that you can use USDA with condos, but we use them all the time in the markets. So we have warnables, we have CPM, we have the one-offs with the PBWs, we have limited reviews. But sometimes you're actually going to get condos that don't fit any of those buckets. You're going to have those that are truly non-warrantable agency guidelines. Case in point, imagine this. Say you have a brand new project coming to market. Okay, developer's been working on it. Now it's getting ready to come to market. 68% commercial space. No pre-sales. We didn't talk about pre-sales, but we will, because on new projects, you have to have pre-sales. Certain that have to be sold. New project, no pre-sales. Then on top of it, they have Sky Bar and a restaurant. Think Fannie Mae's going to touch that? Who do you think's going to touch that? They sent me out to meet with that builder developer about 7 months before it came to market, and we went through all the capital markets. We found 2 investors that did background investigation on the builder developer and saw a builder developer. They said, we will do this 25% down. Okay. Most lenders that will go into this non-warrantable space will say, we'll do it, but we'll only take 15 or 20% of that. We don't want to get stuck with all the risk. They were so impressed. We have a big investor who said, we'll take any deals you can give us. So we're doing first money in on new projects through our non-warrantable sources. So we're creating pre-sales. Getting back to Fannie Mae with pre-sales, if the project was eligible for pre-sales, Fannie Mae stated guidelines. You need at least 70% of the units within the phase to be under contract to owner-occupied or vacation home before they'll consider financing the unit. With us, we can get that down to 50 with CPM.
50%.
Yeah, we can get that down to 50. But if you have a new project coming to market and there's no pre-sales, we have sources to do your first money in for you. That's huge. Another type of non-warrantable are condo tellers, true condo tellers. Ocean City, North Carolina, Carolina Shore. You've got a lot of projects that are true bona fide condo tellers.
Do we have any here?
There's 1 or 2 down here.
Yeah, yeah. Where they have the check-in desks, they have all those amenities.
I've got 2 people, I'll get 2 clients that own it.
Yeah. We can do condo tells with as little as 25% down. Minimum loan amount $100,000. True condo tells. Project in 20. We have one huge condo tel project in Ocean City, which we just got approved, America. Okay. It's over half of the units are owned by a single entity, which adds another layer of risk. But the entity that owns it is a developer, well-known developer in the area. So we have a condo tel with over 50% single entity ownership. We were able to get that approved. The owner-occupied or vacation home only, 25% down. 5 other lenders turned that project down. And we were able to step up the plate and do the financing of that project in Ocean City, which is a phenomenal project. So we've got some really neat niches that we can help you with. The whole key is to identify what is the condo. Is it established condo? Is it new condo? Okay. Is it warrantable or is it non-warrantable? Let us help you. Let us help you identify what type of financing is available for those condos that you're currently listing. That way you know how to sell and who to show them to. Make sure that they're eligible. Okay, any questions?
Have y'all run across the condo that you weren't able to get financed or had any issues with getting it approved? Or?
Yeah, we do quite often, actually, with condos.
What's your biggest challenge?
Owner to tenant ratio.
Okay.
Or some condos haven't submitted all the paperwork required to be approved. So we have some, I tell you, in Norfolk, there was one that the association was just so in the red line. 80% were going into foreclosure. We had one in Hampton by the shipyard. The whole complex had been condemned, basically because of that. So
Wow.
we've seen a lot of on different scenarios.
Well, as we stated, owner-occupied vacation home loans should not be impacted by investor concentration. If you're dealing with a lender that's not allowing you to do loans in that, let Jan know. Okay? And we'll run it through. We'll see what we do. The other challenge, getting the docs. If it's an established project, we just need the questionnaire, the budget, and the insurance. Now, most property owners have an annual package where they know what the budget is for the year. They have their legal docs. They may not have the questionnaire, but if they can give us a point of contact at the association, it doesn't have to be from the management. Management companies take time and they cost money. We will accept a condo questionnaire completed by an officer of the association to help you out. Okay? If you know who the treasurer is, you know who the president is, vice president, and they're willing to complete our little form for us, we can get it right in time. Save you time and money. You're not taking advantage of that.
You said the questionnaire, the budget, what was the third?
Insurance.
Insurance.
Yeah. We talked about the questionnaire, we talked about the budget, and the insurance. There's usually 3 types of insurance that we look for. We look for hazard insurance. Like a house burns down, we want to make sure that there's sufficient funds to replace it. We're looking for either guaranteed or full replacement cost line. Liability in case somebody gets injured, $1 million liability. And if you have 21 or more units, we're looking for fidelity coverage. And fidelity coverage is in case somebody steals or these lines. If you're in a floodplain, special flood hazard area, we need flood insurance as well. But usually, typically, the 3: master, hazard, liability, fidelity. Real simple. And then once we run the project and we set up a CPM file, we keep that insurance. So next time we get a deal, it's already in file.
And it's good for a year.
Yeah, oh yeah. Budgets are good for the calendar year. The CPM is good on established projects for the year. New projects, on the other hand, are only good for 6 months. We have to take a look at new projects every 6 months. And on new projects, we do need the legal docs. Okay? So there is a little cost. And then we want an attorney basically just telling us that the legal docs meet local jurisdictional guidance and Fannie Mae guidance.
And that letter from the attorney sometimes is with their documents.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to go back to the original attorney and they'll charge you $250 to get that letter. Sometimes.
It all depends. If it's a new project, that's when you need all those legal docs. And rightly so, because it's going through phasing, it's not sold out yet, and there's additional element of risk. But what I do is, if you're working with a builder bringing a new project to market, and you want to set up a meeting with us, we'll come down. Jen will come down, I'll come down, maybe Joe will come down, and we'll talk to them. We'll tell them what's required. We'll tell them what needs to be done. We'll tell them what we want to certify in the letter. We get it all done up front. It's pretty simple. Believe it or not, guys, condos have gotten easier.
That's good to know.
And one last note. Wherever I travel, people always ask me, Sam, I like what you're doing. Sounds good. But what we really want is FHA and VA. How can you help us with FHA and VA? Okay? Associations don't want to go through that because it's a lot of money, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of energy. Let me tell you, standing up here, it doesn't cost a dime to get a permit. FHA. Okay. Doesn't cost a dime. A lot of attorneys will charge for legal reviews of the documents, consultants will charge to get that, but it doesn't cost a dime. We have a generic package that we send out, and they ask for help to get those docs. A lot of projects are already FHA approved, or getting ready to expire or have expired. And we have a team at our office in the Yacht Center that will get these projects approved. And once we get that package in, we're not only going to submit it to FHA, but we're going to submit it to VA. It's not already VA. So we'll get the docs in, we'll send it out for FHA, we'll send it out to VA. FHA is taking about 6 to 8 weeks. VA is taking about 4 to 6 weeks. VA, once it's approved, it's on forever, unless something bad happens. FHA has to be recertified every 2 years. So we'll do that.
If I've got a condo project established, small projects, only, let's say 6 units, downtown Norfolk, right behind MacArthur Mall. gentleman wants to use his VA, it's FHA approved. Why would the association not pick VAs? Just because they don't want the level of financing? It appears, when I go to the tax records, it appears that the majority of the owners are underwater because they're only 7 years old, 7 or 8 years old. So the time that they were bought, exactly. So they've already got one short sale in there, and I think one's on the market that's awaiting approved short sale.
Okay. I don't see any obstacle for FHA or VA for that.
No, like I said, they're FHA approved, but the issue is he's got VA eligibility, and he's also, believe it or not, the way that I got him approved was just do regular Fannie Mae.
Well, in that case, VA and FHA no longer have reciprocity. So they have to be submitted to the agency. So that's why if I get a new package in, I'll do a bill submission right there. We'll get them both. There's only a couple different documents that are required for FHA and VA. As a matter of fact, the ideal situation is you get a listing on a project that's within FHA limits. We get that package in, because the information that's included in that package is what we need from CPM to send it off to the VA and to send it off to FHA. Okay? And he'll do a triple submission for you all at once as soon as you get the listing in. Imagine that.
But that's my suspicion is I think that, they got the FHA approval, so they may have VA approval, even though I can't see it, but they're not, the association is not willing to take it. The listing agent is selling. I'm not going to, don't write a VA company.
Well, it's the individual that has the right to do that if the project's on the VA approved list. Okay, I mean, that's a whole legal issue if you have a VA approved project and the association is not allowing VA financing in a VA approved project. So, number one, check to see if it is VA approved. And if it is, the seller has that absolute right. Okay. When we do get those packages in, one of the biggest challenges that we see on getting projects pre-approved or approved for FHA and VA is the investment concentration. So many times they are over 50%. So fortunately, we're able to dilute the concentration with Fannie Mae through CPM and with the VHDA 97 deal. So we can dilute that, and once we get that concentration to 50% or less, then we can do the submission packages to FHA and VA for you. So we can actually help get those projects reapproved FHA and VA through our CPM process.
And speaking of that, as a realtor, I think y'all can appreciate that, because once you've already started working and networking in the neighborhood and condominium, as a listing agent of choice, since you're already working, the project's approved, you kind of got a foothold typically in that project. You continue to market to that group. A lot of agents in Nashville are doing that now because we're approving internally in Nashville, Tennessee, and they're really gravitating towards getting all the buyers and sellers to work with them exclusively because they've already started the process.
That's smart.
Yes, very smart.
That's smart.
Yeah, the condo market is coming back. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are making it easier. State of Virginia with the VHDA 97 is tremendous help for us. And once we get the projects at the proper investor concentrations, we can get them approved for FHA and VA. And we do all of that at no charge.
This is once we get the listing right.
Hey, even if you, let's say you do your research and you say, there's about 4 or 5 projects in my backyard that I'd like to be the key person for a realtor.
Yeah,
Let's get them approved. Get the list to Jan, okay? And we'll work with you on getting those projects approved. And again, the biggest cost is to get the questionnaire, okay? We don't charge anything, but if we can get that questionnaire completed by the association, by the president, vice president, or treasurer, there should be no cost at all.
Okay.
On the VHDA 97 plus, is that considered public funds?
Not really. I mean, it's through the state of Virginia. You have to be living in Virginia. You have to be owner-occupied. You're not limited to first-time home buyer. You have very high income limits. Loan amounts are 417. phenomenal program. And Jan can get you training on that particular program. Yeah, that may be a nice follow-up seminar on that program. Yeah. But we can couple that with our condo program, so you can do 3% condos, no MI.
The trick, I think, with the 97% is, I was going to take this gentleman that way, is you don't have to be the first-time home buyer, but you can't own a property.
Right. Yeah, which is great if you're a renter, rolling into it. But again, that would be a separate seminar, and that's something, Jen.
Yeah, I'll be happy to come in and just do a quick 10 or 15 minutes on it with you guys, because I've done that program many times before, and it's nice.
Now, take the power of that program and couple it with condos. You got a win-win.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You guys have an advantage here in Virginia. Okay. Any other questions? Any questions come up, shoot them to Jan. Jan will be in contact with me, and be more than glad to help you out. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I need to get my message, getting all this stuff.